Greetings and welcome. Today we're going to explore what everybody seems to be talking about, the Great Reset. There are so many perspectives, theories and ideas about what this is, who is behind it and why it is happening. I'm going to share my perspectives on the matter, but rather than focusing on the micro details, I'm going to approach this from a macro view in as much as I can. I also want to emphasize that the ideas and opinions expressed in this presentation are my opinions from my perspective. I am not claiming to have all the answers, neither am I expecting you to accept everything I share without question. I simply ask that you watch and listen with an open mind, take what resonates and ignore what doesn't. Also, please note that this presentation is not intended to frighten you, but rather to empower you. As they say, knowledge is power. The more you know, the more you can empower yourself. So, let's start with a simple question. What is the definition of the word reset? The word reset can be broken down into two words, re and set. Re is a prefix used with reference to indicate repetition or with the meaning back or backward, the action of something again and again. Set is a verb that implies arranging or placing something somewhere specific or fixing something in a particular place or position. So reset in this context can best be defined as the adjustment or rearrangement of something from one specific thing or place to another, effectively starting anew. Now, when I hear this, I imagine a reset being akin to switching a computer or television program off and on again to recalibrate its operating system. In fact, I'm going to use the example of the television operating system to exemplify the message I want to share with you. It is of my perception that life on Earth is just like a TV set, and you are one of many characters acting out various scripts in the movie of life. Let me explain. Think about it. The TV set is the Earth. The 7 stations are comparative to the 7 main regions of the Earth: Africa, Western Asia, Eastern Asia, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, North and South America. Now, of course, each of these film studio regions of the Earth have their own independent film producers and genres of film. These are what we might call countries. Now, of course, each of these film studio regions of the Earth have their own independent film producers and genres of film. These are what we might call countries. Each country has a government body that writes the scripts, edits, directs, and broadcasts them out to their citizen actors. Each government play has its own social, religious, educational, political, and economic programming specifically designed for their citizens. We might call this collective programming the culture of these societies. This has been the traditional movie set duplicated in every country on Earth for at least the last few hundred years or so. Before that, monarchs, royal families, and religious orders wrote the play. Today, however, governments are the playwriters. However, the TV set has been evolving and is resetting as we speak. So what exactly does this reset entail, I hear you ask? Well, it depends. This great reset does not conclusively or exclusively belong to any one person or organization. It is an open network of opportunity for anyone and everyone to participate in if they so choose. Effectively, the programs of the earthly television set are about to expire, which means a subsequent reset to new programs of living. Now, I'm sure you've all heard about the Great Reset that is being promoted and highlighted by various multi-organizational entities that include private, corporate, and government organizations. The most notable of them being the World Economic Forum, headed by a man named Klaus Schwab. Now, I will reiterate, these entities do not have a monopoly on the Great Reset. You and I have the exact same opportunity to influence, shape, and direct the trajectory of the collective evolutionary process. But before I get into that, let's first take a look at what the visionary plan the World Economic Forum are forecasting for humanity. But rather than hearing it from me, let's hear it direct from the horse's mouth.
Now, there are not many historians who would be put on the main stage of the Congress Center of the World Economic Forum, sandwiched between Angela Merkel and Macron. I think there are even fewer who could fill the room almost as much as Angela Merkel, and almost none who would have the experience as we were waiting in the green room and Angela Merkel came through, Chancellor Merkel came through, she took care to stop, go up to Yuval and introduce herself and say, "I've read your book." Pretty amazing. But Yuval Harari has written two very important books which have really shaped the debate, not just inside governments, but inside many businesses and many non-governmental organizations too. What he's going to be talking about today is something that actually Chancellor Merkel touched on in her own speech, which is a question of data. And what do we do about data today? His ideas are very provocative, very alarming, and something that all of you should pay very close attention to now. Professor Harari, Professor Yuval, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, hello everybody. So, I want to talk to you today about the future of our species, and really the future of life. We are probably one of the last generations of Homo sapiens. Within a century or two, Earth will be dominated by entities that are more different from us than we are different from Neanderthals or from chimpanzees. Because in the coming generations, we will learn how to engineer bodies and brains and minds. These will be the main products of the economy, of the 21st century economy. Not textiles and vehicles and weapons, but bodies and brains and minds. Now, how exactly will the future masters of the planet look like? This will be decided by the people who own the data. Those who control the data control the future not just of humanity, but the future of life itself. Because today, data is the most important asset in the world. In ancient times, land was the most important asset. And if too much land became concentrated in too few hands, humanity split into aristocrats and commoners. Then in the modern age, in the last 2 centuries, machinery replaced land as the most important asset. And if too many of the machines became concentrated in too few hands, humanity split into classes, into capitalists and proletariats. Now data is replacing machinery as the most important asset. And if too much of the data becomes concentrated in too few hands, humanity will split not into classes, it will split into species, into different species. Now, why is data so important? It's important because we've reached the point when we can hack not just computers, we can hack human beings and other organisms. There is a lot of talk these days about hacking computers and email accounts and bank accounts and mobile phones, but actually we are gaining the ability to hack human beings. Now, what do you need in order to hack a human being? You need two things. You need a lot of computing power, and you need a lot of data, especially biometric data. Not data about what I buy or where I go, but data about what is happening inside my body and inside my brain. Until today, nobody had the necessary computing power and the necessary data to hack humanity. Even if the Soviet KGB or the Spanish Inquisition followed you around everywhere, 24 hours a day, watching everything you do, listening to everything you say, still, they didn't have the computing power and the biological knowledge necessary to make sense of what was happening inside your body and brain and to understand how you feel and what you think and what you want. But this is now changing because of two simultaneous revolutions. On the one hand, advances in computer science, and especially the rise of machine learning and AI, are giving us the necessary computing power. And at the same time, advances in biology, and especially in brain science, are giving us the necessary understanding, biological understanding. You can really summarize 150 years of biological research since Charles Darwin in 3 words. Organisms are algorithms. This is the big insight of the modern life sciences, that organisms, whether viruses or bananas or humans, they are really just biochemical algorithms. And we are learning how to decipher these algorithms. Now, when the two revolutions merge, when the infotech revolution merges with the biotech revolution, what you get is the ability to hack human beings. And maybe the most important invention for the merger of infotech and biotech is the biometric sensor that translates biochemical processes in the body and the brain into electronic signals that a computer can store and analyze. And once you have enough such biometric information and enough computing power, you can create algorithms that know me better than I know myself. And humans really don't know themselves very well. This is why algorithms have a real chance of getting to know ourselves better. We don't really know ourselves. To give an example, when I was 21, I finally realized that I was gay after living for several years in denial. And this is not exceptional. A lot of gay men live in denial for many years. They don't know something very important about themselves. Now imagine the situation in 10 or 20 years when an algorithm can tell any teenager exactly where he or she is on the gay-straight spectrum, and even how malleable this position is. The algorithm tracks your eye movements, your blood pressure, your brain activity, and tells you who you are. Now, maybe you personally wouldn't like to make use of such an algorithm. But maybe you find yourself in some boring birthday party of somebody from your class at school, and one of your friends has this wonderful idea that I've just heard about this cool new algorithm that tells you your sexual orientation, and wouldn't it be a lot of fun if everybody just takes turns testing themselves on this algorithm as everybody else is watching and commenting? What would you do? Would you just walk away? And even if you walk away, and even if you keep hiding from your classmates or from yourself, you will not be able to hide from Amazon and Alibaba and the secret police. As you surf the internet, as you watch videos or check your social feed, the algorithms will be monitoring your eye movements, your blood pressure, your brain activity. You wouldn't even know that this was happening, but they will know, and this information will be worth billions. Once we have algorithms that can understand me better than I understand myself, they could predict my desires, manipulate my emotions, and even take decisions on my behalf. The outcome might be the rise of digital dictatorships. In the 21st century, new technological revolutions, especially AI and machine learning, might swing the pendulum in the opposite direction. They might make centralized data processing far more efficient than distributed data processing. And if democracy cannot adapt to these new conditions, then humans will come to live under the rule of digital dictatorships. And already at present, we are seeing the formation of more and more sophisticated surveillance regimes throughout the world, not just by authoritarian regimes, but also by democratic governments. The US, for example, is building a global surveillance system, while my home country of Israel is trying to build a total surveillance regime in the West Bank. But control of data might enable human elites to do something even more radical than just build digital dictatorships. By hacking organisms, elites may gain the power to re-engineer the future of life itself. Because once you can hack something, you can usually also engineer it. And if indeed we succeed in hacking and engineering life, this will be not just the greatest revolution in the history of humanity. This will be the greatest revolution in biology since the very beginning of life 4 billion years ago. For 4 billion years, nothing fundamental changed in the basic rules of the game of life. All of life, for 4 billion years, dinosaurs, amoebas, tomatoes, humans, all of life was subject to the laws of natural selection and to the laws of organic biochemistry. But this is now about to change. Science is replacing evolution by natural selection with evolution by intelligent design. Our intelligent design and the intelligent design of our clouds, the IBM cloud, the Microsoft cloud, these are the new driving forces of evolution. And at the same time, science may enable life, after being confined for 4 billion years to the limited realm of organic compounds, science may enable life to break out into the inorganic realm. So after 4 billion years of organic life shaped by natural selection, we are entering the era of inorganic life shaped by intelligent design. This is why the ownership of data is so important. Data is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. It can move at the speed of light, and you can create as many copies of it as you want. So does the data about my DNA, my brain, my body, my life, does it belong to me, or to some corporation, or to the government, or perhaps to the human collective? At present, big corporations are holding much of the data, and people are becoming worried about it. But mandating governments to nationalize the data may curb the power of the big corporations only in order to give rise to digital dictatorships. And politicians really, many politicians at least, are like musicians. And the instrument they play on is the human emotional and biochemical system. A politician gives a speech, and there is a wave of fear all over the country. a politician tweets, and there is an explosion of anger and hatred. Now, I don't think we should give these musicians more sophisticated instruments to play on. And I certainly don't think they are ready to be entrusted with the future of life in the universe, especially as many politicians and governments seem incapable of producing meaningful visions for the future. And instead, what they sell the public are nostalgic fantasies about going back to the past. And as a historian, I can tell you two things about the past. First of all, it wasn't fun. You wouldn't like to really go back there. And secondly, it's not coming back. So nostalgic fantasies really are not a solution.
I must say, I'm quite starstruck sitting here, listening to that stream of ideas. And I'd like to start with a very simple question, which is this. You paint this picture of a future that's quite scary. How soon do you expect that future to be here? Are we talking about 2 years, 20 years, 200 years? I mean, how soon could we be dealing with digital dictatorships?
I think that the timescale is decades. I mean, in 200 years, I guess there won't be any sapiens left. There'll be something completely different. 2 years, it's far too soon. So we're talking about a few decades. Nobody knows exactly how many.
Right. I'm curious, as you look around the world today, do you see any countries or any groups of people or any academic groups that seem to be having a sensible debate about this? Do you see any reason for encouragement at all?
Well, I think the world is divided into a very, very small group of people and institutions who understand what is happening and what is at stake, and the vast majority, not just of ordinary people, but even of politicians and business people who are not really, yes, they hear about data, data protection, there are cyber attacks, somebody might steal my identity or my bank account details, but that, as I said, it's just the tip of the iceberg. I think that my guess, I don't know, but I guess that some of the big corporations, like Google, like Facebook, the usual suspects, they understand what is at stake. I also think that some governments, especially the Chinese government, I think they understand what is at stake. I think certainly most humans have no idea.
Right.
Again, the thing is, just to make it clear, it's the biometric data is the key. When people think about data, they mostly think about where I go, what I buy. When they think about hacking, they think about computers. They talk about AI, about machine learning. They forget the other side of the equation, which is the life sciences, the brain sciences. The brain sciences are giving us access to here. This is what we really tried, what somebody is really trying to hack is this, not this.
Right. You say you don't know what to do about this, but imagine for a moment that you were dictator, be that digital or not. What would you do right now to help humanity deal with this? Would you like to just throw away all of those biometric devices?
No, it's absolutely impossible to go back, especially in terms of technology and science. Even if one country or an entire continent is freaked out by the possibilities and they say, we stop all research in this field, you can't force other countries to do the same. And then you have your own, you have a race to the bottom, unless you have some global agreement on how to deal with this, then no country would like to stay behind in the race.
So do you want the scientists to take control? Do you want the United Nations? Do you think the United Nations is capable?
As I said,
the World Economic Forum? Could all the people here take control of this, do you think?
The discussion has just begun. I don't think we should panic. We should just, first of all, be aware that this is what we are facing. And there are many possibilities, also technological possibilities. How, for example, when we talk about regulating ownership of land, we have a very clear picture what it means. Okay, you have a plot, you have a field, you build a fence around, you have a gate, you stand at the gate, and you say, okay, you can come in, you can't. that this is my field. Now, what does it mean in terms of the data about my DNA or what's happening in my brain? I mean, what's the analogy of the fence and the gate? We just don't understand. So I think we are in an analogous position to where we were with the Industrial Revolution 200 years ago. And you just need time.
Right. I mean, one thing I find fascinating in your description of the digital economy is that it actually involves a picture of society which is not quite the picture that normal economists have. Because most of the digital exchanges today don't actually involve money. People are giving up data in exchange for services.
Yeah.
And that's something that no economic model can capture right now. And frankly, the legal models can't either in terms of the antitrust. So I'm curious, when you look at this problem, it's not quite economics. It's certainly not just computer science. It's not really any particular discipline. Do you think this means that universities need to rethink how they categorize academics? I mean, who is going to take this overarching view to try and talk about these issues?
Maybe the most important exchange in this respect will be in healthcare. The big battle over what we today call privacy will be between privacy and health. Do you give access to what is happening inside your body and brain in exchange for far better healthcare? And my guess is that health will win, hands down. People will give up their privacy in exchange for healthcare, and maybe in many places they won't have a choice. I mean, they won't even get insurance if they are unwilling to give access to what is happening inside their bodies.
As you can tell, the world stage is being meticulously set towards a very specific paradigm, what I call the transhuman AI New World Order. Their script is actually very simple. They want all politics, social welfare, economics, education, and information to be written, edited, directed, broadcast, and played out from one centralized channel of programming. One global cult of programming for all on this plane of the earth. This paradigm of reset is not being scripted by monarchs, religious orders, or even modern government establishments. The new TV set is being written by a small handful of self-proclaimed elites and is being edited and directed by large corporate technology organizations. Their vision is based on the premise that eventually the scripts and acts of humans on Earth will no longer be generated by independent, free-thinking humans, but rather by artificially self-generated programs and algorithms. If this version of reality fully manifests, the TV set of Earth will predominantly have one mega movie studio that only broadcasts one science fiction script, written, edited, and directed by artificial intelligence and acted out by transhuman characters. As a result, humans will devolve from natural living men and women into transhuman cyborg beings. Now, for some, this kind of future is progressive, revolutionary, and exciting. After all, most would contend that advances in technology have accelerated the human evolutionary experience, as Yuval Harari has just said. And equally, for some, this version of the future is dystopian and unacceptable. However, despite this, many are caught between a rock and a hard place. This is because their mindset is trapped by the trappings of the very technology they fear will eventually enslave them. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not a technophobe. I'm not anti-technology. In fact, I myself, from time to time, enjoy the convenience and luxury experience of using artificial technology. In my opinion, technological advancements can be beneficial for the human experience. However, when humans need technology to thrive, survive, or even function on a day-to-day basis, This is when technology becomes dangerous and detrimental to human experience. In my opinion, nature, in all its organic forms, is the only external necessity humans should ever rely on to naturally and healthily thrive. Unfortunately, the exponential rise of technology has and is exponentially disassociating more and more humans from their natural organic habitat, further into inorganic artificial constructs of reality. Indeed, it is self-evident that the world has reached a crossroads of evolution between the left-hand path and the right-hand path, the organic and inorganic. Such a crossroad is challenging all of us to look in the mirror, self-reflect, and make difficult but crucial decisions as to what set of reality our mindsets are prepared to reset into. There is no doubt a reset of change is inevitable. At this point, resistance to change is futile. There is simply no turning back. We on Earth must all lose the plot and start new plots individually and collectively. The only question now is, what new plots are we going to evolve into? The transhuman AI New World Order is very clear on exactly what scripts of paradigm it wants for humanity at large. As we've already seen, it or they have a concisely written script with clear and focused directives of the play they are casting to reset the collective mindset. And their wheels are already in motion, as we've seen. The scripted AI industrial revolution is written, edited, and currently being directed by an influential machine that has an infinite budget of skills and resources at their disposal. Now, of course, I'm well aware that there are many pockets of resistance to this type of paradigm reset, what many are calling the Great Awakening, which is all fine and well. However, a mass awakening of resistance without a progressive plan is a script for chaos and anarchy. Essentially, there aren't enough people writing new alternative future reset scripts worthy of subscription. Most are focused on resisting or fighting scripts they don't agree with, rather than creating new scripts that are in alignment with their ideals. However, this is not the case for everyone. There are those of us whom are steadfast in maintaining the natural order of organic living without compromising our autonomous freedom in the name of technological advancement. The native kingdom of Pineal is one of the very few creatively organized mindsets writing, editing, directing, and acting out an alternative reset paradigm. Whilst the task at hand seems daunting, if not impossible, for those of us who do not subscribe to the transhuman AI narrative, it is important to remember the bigger picture. You see, we live in a dualistic paradigm of order, which means everything we experience has an equal and opposite counterpart. The transhuman AI narrative is just one side of the coin, the yin to the yang, so to speak. Just as the earth has those whom are scripting an artificial, inorganic paradigm, there must also be those who script a more natural, organic paradigm. Effectively, two channels of earthly experience, ordained by the universal principles of correspondence, compensation, polarity, cause, and effect. Furthermore, it is my belief that we are not alone in this transition. We share this earth and universe with many other extraterrestrial emissaries who serve in the shadows of our perception as mediators of balance and equilibrium for all as we enter this crucial transition. However, This galactic council of mediators are not saviors, but rather observers and adjudicators. Ultimately, the destiny of our individual and collective futures is in our hands. We have before us the opportunity to write new scripts, set new scenes, create new characters, redefine the roles that we act, and direct our own independent plays. By taking the radical self-responsibility of initiating our own independent collective reset using our own collective sovereign mindsets, we become the writers, directors, editors, and actors of our own script, play, and paradigm, the masters of our own destinies. But this will not come easily. It requires the organization of peoples in common unity, co-creating with principles of collective trust. The Kingdom of Pineal is one such divergent program, currently being written, scripted, and directed into formation. Yes, I know, we might not yet have the same collective influence as the AI corporate program, but what we lack in resources, we make up for with creativity, work ethic, human endeavor, spirit, passion, and the heart to succeed and thrive despite the odds. The Kingdom of Pineal is one of a few independent organizations investing all their resources, energy, and time in creating an alternative reality that is organic and natural, but also progressively in alignment with the cosmic changes that must play out at this time. For indeed, a great reset is absolutely necessary. Change is the only constant in life. Nothing ever remains the same. The creator of this great TV set we call life on Earth has celestially ordained that it is time to change the scene. We humans, as the progenitors of the Earth, have the opportunity to rewrite and direct this collective change of script into whatever timeline of reality we choose and or follow. If you are not actively co-creating your own timeline of reality with like-minded mindsets, it is most likely that you will end up in a timeline of reality that might not be in alignment with your principles and ideals. The path to freedom, sovereignty, and redemption is long and narrow, but ultimately the most rewarding. This path requires sacrifice, resilience, patience, and a great deal of commitment. If what I've shared with you today inspires and resonates with you, join us. Or at the very least, initiate your own alternative, organic New World Order, if you aren't already doing so. And if you are, please share your ideas with us. We, and only we, as a unified collective, can change the scene by finding our inner light, focusing our attention, and taking appropriate creative action. The more we co-create our mindset, the more we collectively influence the Great Reset. As they say, we are stronger together, and together we can build back better. Not a transhuman artificial paradigm, but a natural and organic paradigm of sovereign living men and women. If you are in alignment with this message and vision, you can reach us via email at pinealfoundation@gmail.com, or you can visit our website www.kingdom-of-pineal.org. Our YouTube channel and Instagram channels are under Pineal Foundation. We also have a collection of eclectic, inspirational, and magical music which can be found on Spotify and Bandcamp under Pinheiro Family Music. We look forward to hearing from you. Let's dare to dream. From myself, Agua Zizi Akbal Pinheiro, and the Pinheiro family here at the Kingdom of Pineal, we give thanks. Goodbye for now.